The morning sky above Seoul turned bright red as Captain Lee Jin watched the alien ships come down from space like burning rocks. He was hiding deep underground in a secret military bunker, but he could hear people screaming through the radio as bright blue beams cut through the city above his head. "Sir, we cannot talk to Busan, Tokyo, or New York anymore," said Lieutenant Park Subin. Her voice was calm, but tears were running down her face. The computer screen showed red dots spreading across every part of the world. All the big cities where millions of people lived were turning into dust and fire in just a few hours. Dr. Kim Hanzhao was typing very fast on his computer. He was the smartest scientist in their underground base. Their weapons are not like anything we have ever seen before. They can destroy things by changing the tiny pieces that everything is made of. Above them on the surface, the alien ships were sending a message to everyone on Earth. The alien commander's voice came through every radio and television that still worked. A computer changed his alien words into human language. The humans are no longer dangerous. This planet now belongs to our empire. Choi Min-ho was a soldier who worked with radios and computers. He was hiding in an old military base high up in the mountains, far away from Seoul. The base was so old that most people had forgotten it existed. Min-ho pressed his headphones closer to his ears and watched the alien ships flying around in the sky. The aliens seemed happy because they thought they had killed or captured all the humans who could fight back. But the aliens did not know something very important. Thousands of humans like Min-ho were still alive in places the aliens could not see with their machines. Some were hiding deep under the ground in old subway tunnels and bomb shelters. Others were in the mountains or forests, far away from the big cities. These people had watched everything happen, and they were already thinking about how to fight back. Lee Jin walked through the underground tunnels that connected different parts of their hidden base. The tunnels were full of people who had escaped from Seoul when the attack started. There were soldiers, scientists, doctors, and regular families with children. Everyone was scared, but they were also angry. "Many people do we think are still alive?" Lee Jin asked Dr. Kim Hansel. The scientist looked at his computer screen. "It is hard to know for sure, but I think maybe 50 million people around the world survived the first attack. Most of them are hiding like us." Park Subin was listening to radio messages from other hidden bases around the world. "Sir, I am getting signals from groups in the Rocky Mountains in America, the Andes Mountains in South America, and the Himalayas in Asia. They all survived too." The aliens had been very smart about their attack. They'd studied Earth for many years before they came. They knew where all the big cities were, where the armies kept their weapons, and where the governments worked. They had used their powerful weapons to destroy all these places very quickly. But the aliens had made one big mistake. They thought that humans only lived in big cities and military bases. They did not know that millions of people lived in small towns, farms, and wild places far away from the cities. Their scanning machines had looked for large groups of people in big buildings, but they had missed all the small groups hiding in places that were hard to see. Min-ho could see some of the alien ships landing near the ruins of Seoul through his binoculars. The aliens were walking around the destroyed city, but they looked relaxed, or not being careful or watching for danger. They really believed that all the humans were dead or too weak to fight. "They think they won," Min-ho said to himself. He picked up his radio and sent a coded message to other survivors. "This is Mountain Base 7. The enemies are not watching carefully. They think we're all gone." Similar messages were being sent. All around the world, in the cold mountains of Canada, a group of scientists and soldiers were hiding in an old research station. In the hot deserts of Australia, Aboriginal people who knew how to live off the land were keeping soldiers and city people alive. In the thick forests of the Amazon, native tribes were helping crashed pilots and refugees disappear into the jungle. Dr. Kim Hanzhao found something interesting while studying pieces of broken alien machines that had fallen from the sky. "Look at this," he said to Lee Jin. "Their technology is very advanced, but it works in ways we can understand. I think we might be able to learn how to use it." The aliens were celebrating their victory. They were sending messages back to their home planets, telling their leaders that Earth was now under their control. They were planning which valuable things they would take from the planet and how they would use it for their empire, but deep. Underground and high in the mountains, in forgotten places all around the world, millions of humans were still alive. They were watching, learning, and getting ready. The aliens had celebrated too early, and they did not know that they're real. War with humanity was just beginning. 6 months had passed since the alien ships destroyed the cities. Master Sergeant Yoon Tae-jin climbed out of the old subway tunnels that ran deep under what used to be Seoul. The underground world had grown much bigger than anyone had imagined. Miles and miles of tunnels now connected survivors all across the country. The old subway station did not look the same anymore. Where people used to wait for trains, there were now tables covered with alien machines that scientists were taking apart. Dr. Shin Yuna was carefully looking at a small piece of alien technology with a special magnifying glass. She was surrounded by engineers who were all listening carefully to what she said. Their power sources are amazing, she explained to the group. They can store much more energy than anything we ever made. But they need special crystals to work. The good news is that we can make these crystals using machines from old factories. The main meeting room used to be a fast food restaurant. Now, it had computers and maps covering every wall. Jang Du-haen sat at a desk covered with radio equipment. Before the aliens came, he had been making computer programs for video games. He was helping survivors around the world talk to each other secretly. I connected our communication system. 2 groups hiding in the Rocky Mountains, the Andes, and the Himalayas, he told everyone during their daily meeting. We are all sharing information about the aliens and working together to collect their broken machines. It's the aliens flying around. Above ground had become lazy and careless. At first they had been very careful and suspicious. But now they followed the same flight paths every day. Their machines that were supposed to watch for danger were not working very hard. The aliens really believed that humans were no longer a threat. No Yunji used to plan military operations before the invasion. Now she stood in front of a big screen that showed when and where the alien ships flew each day. She had been watching them for months and had learned their habits. They have moved 60% of their ships away from Earth, she said, pointing at the patterns on the screen. Most of their big warships have gone to attack other planets. They think we are completely defeated. In workshops that used to be shopping malls, teams of people worked day and night to understand alien technology. Bae Kung-soo led one of these teams. His workshop was in what used to be a department store. Where people once bought clothes and electronics, there were now workbenches covered with strange alien devices. Look what we discovered, Bae said excitedly to his team. He held up a small device that glowed with soft blue light. This is part of their communication system. If we can copy how it works, we can listen to what they are saying to each other. The underground network was much more than just hiding places. It had become a secret city with its own factories, hospitals, and schools. In the old subway tunnels under Busan, children were learning math and science in classrooms lit by alien power cells. The teachers were making sure that human knowledge would not be lost. Minho had left his mountain base and come to join the underground city. He brought important information about alien patrol patterns and maps of where their ships landed most often. In the communication center, he helped train other people to use the secret radio networks. The aliens are getting messages from there. Homeworlds, Minho explained to a group of new radio operators. They are being told to find valuable minerals and start shipping them back to their empire. This means they plan to stay here for a long time. Dr. Shin Yuna made an important discovery while working late one night. She was trying to understand how alien weapons worked when she found something surprising. Their weapons are very powerful, but they have a weakness, she told the other scientists. They need to be recharged after being used many times, and the recharging takes almost an hour. This information was quickly sent through the secret communication network to survivors. All around the world, in hidden bases everywhere, people started making plans that would use this weakness against the aliens. The underground workshops were becoming more advanced every day. Teams of mechanics and engineers were not just copying alien technology anymore. They were finding ways to make it better by combining it with human ideas. They built new tools that could cut through alien metal, new computers that could break their codes. Park Subin had become an expert at sneaking around above ground to gather information. She wore special clothes that made her hard for alien sensors to detect. During her trips to the surface, she took pictures of alien bases and counted how many guards they had. "They are not being very careful," she reported after one of her scouting missions. "They have only a few guards watching their most important buildings. They really think all humans are either dead or too scared to fight." But the aliens were very wrong. Deep underground, humanity was not just surviving. They were learning, growing stronger, and preparing for something the aliens would never expect. The survivors had turned their hiding places into secret weapons, factories, and training centers. Soon they would be ready to show the aliens that celebrating victory too early had been a very big mistake. 2 years had passed since the aliens destroyed the cities. Agent Lim Soyoung walked slowly through the alien factory, wearing a special suit that fooled their scanning machines. To the tall, gray aliens watching the workers, she looked like just another broken human who was only good for carrying heavy things and cleaning floors. But Soyoung was not broken at all. She was one of hundreds of humans who had learned to sneak into alien buildings by pretending to be harmless slaves. Every day she watched everything the aliens did and remembered important details about their weapons, their machines, and how they behaved. Oh Jin-woo worked in a different part of the same factory. His job was to move boxes of materials that the aliens used to build their technology, but while he worked, he was secretly counting how many alien guards there were, what times they changed shifts, and which doors were locked or unlocked. He had a perfect memory and could remember everything he saw. Kwon Mireille had an even more dangerous job. She cleaned the alien command center, where the important aliens made their decisions. She had to be very careful because these aliens were smarter and more suspicious than the ones who watched the regular workers. But because they thought she was just a stupid human cleaner, they talked freely about their plans while she was in the room. Deep in the Taebaek Mountains, Colonel Seo Dongmin sat at a table covered with reports from spies like Soyoung, Jin-woo, and Mireille. The mountain base had grown into a huge underground city with meeting rooms, laboratories, and training areas carved into the rock. "The aliens have 7 different types of creatures in their empire," he explained to his staff officers. "Type breathes different air, follows different rules, and most importantly, wants different things for themselves." Dr. Hong Genesio had spent 2 years studying everything humans had learned about alien behavior. Before the invasion, he had been a doctor who helped people with mental problems. Now, he was humanity's best expert on how aliens thought and felt. "The aliens have conquered so many worlds that they have stopped learning new ways to fight," he said, showing pictures of alien battle tactics on a computer screen. "They do the same things over and over because those things always worked before. They cannot change their plans when something unexpected happens." Staff Sergeant Ambora had discovered something even more valuable during her spy missions. She had learned to speak some of the alien languages by listening carefully for many months. What she heard made her very excited. "Different types of aliens do not really like each other," she reported to the intelligence team. "The gray ones who are in charge think all the other types are stupid and weak. The aliens made of crystals hate taking orders from anyone, and the aliens made of pure energy think that all solid creatures are primitive animals." This information traveled through the secret communication networks to research teams around the world. Dr. Ru Jaemin led a special team that was learning how to use psychology as a weapon. They were figuring out exactly what to say and do to make the difference. Alien types angry at each other. Soyoung had learned something important about alien technology during her months of spying. She discovered that their most powerful weapons had a hidden weakness that the aliens themselves did not seem to know about. Their energy weapons work by focusing power through special crystals, she explained during a secret meeting with other spies. But if those crystals get too hot, the weapons stop working for several minutes while they cool down. The aliens never noticed this because no one has ever fought back long enough to make their weapons overheat. Jin-woo had mapped every alien base in his region. He knew which buildings contained weapons, which ones had communication equipment, and which ones stored fuel for their ships. He had even figured out the secret codes the aliens used to open locked doors. They changed their door codes every month, he reported, but they always used numbers that mean something in their religion. I have learned enough about their beliefs to guess what the new codes will be. Ray had heard the aliens talking about their biggest fear. Despite all their advanced technology and powerful weapons, there was something that worried the alien commanders. They were afraid of running out. Of the special fuel their ships need, she whispered to her contact. They can only get this fuel from their home planets, and it takes many months for supply ships to reach Earth. If something happened to their fuel supplies, they would be trapped here. The learning was not just about alien weaknesses, human. Engineers in the underground cities had figured out how to combine alien technology with human creativity in ways that surprised everyone. They built new types of weapons that were more powerful than anything either humans or aliens had made alone. Young engineers, like Lee Hyunki, were creating machines that could become invisible to alien sensors, move silently through their bases, and plant tiny explosives in exactly the right places to cause maximum damage. After 2 years of watching, learning, and preparing, humanity knew their enemies better than the aliens knew themselves. The aliens still thought humans were defeated and harmless. They had no idea that their former slaves were actually brilliant spies who had discovered every secret weakness in their empire. 5 years after the aliens destroyed the cities, General Yang Sung-ho stood in a room that should have been impossible. He was in a huge military command center, built completely underground, hidden beneath the ruins of Diogen. Around him, dozens of computer screens showed the positions of human fighters on every continent of Earth. The command center was bigger than anything humans had built before the invasion. It had taken 3 years to dig out the rock and install all the equipment. The aliens flying overhead had no idea that directly below their feet was a military base more advanced than anything that had existed on Earth. Before they arrived, Operation Rising Sun is ready to begin, Yang announced to the military commanders watching him through video screens. Colonel Beek Haijin nodded from her hidden base somewhere in the mountains of North America. Major Kong Woo-jin confirmed that European resistance cells were prepared for action above ground. Technical Sergeant Moon Ji-hyun crawled carefully through the ruins of Seoul. She was carrying a small device that looked like a piece of broken concrete, but was actually a very sophisticated piece of technology. Her job was to place it near an alien communication tower without being seen for many months. Humans had been playing a very dangerous game with the aliens. They had been feeding false information into alien communication systems, making each type of alien believe that the other types were stealing from them and plotting against them. Moon placed her device behind a pile of rubble and activated it. With a small button, the device immediately began sending fake messages that looked like they came from one alien species to another. These messages talked about secret plans to steal territory and hide valuable resources. The aliens had started to become suspicious of each other. Captain Im Na-young watched through her rifle scope as 2 different types of aliens argued loudly outside their base. The gray aliens were accusing the crystal aliens of taking more than their fair share of the minerals they were mining from Earth. The psychological warfare is working perfectly, Im whispered into her radio. They are starting to fight each other instead of watching for us. The fake messages had been very carefully written by Dr. Ru Jae-min's team. They knew exactly what would make each alien species angry and suspicious. The messages talked about secret meetings, hidden weapons stockpiles, plans to betray the Alliance. 2 weeks ago, something even better had happened. A group of crystal aliens had actually fired their weapons at a gray alien patrol ship, thinking it was trying to steal from their mining operation. The gray aliens had fired back, and 3 aliens from each side had been killed before they realized their mistake, but it was not really a mistake. The whole fight had been caused by false information that Sergeant Lee Hyunki had planted in their communication system. The dead aliens made both sides even more angry and suspicious of each other. Phase 1 complete. Im reported as she watched another argument break out between energy-based aliens and matter-based aliens at a fuel depot. They are now fighting each other more than they are watching for human activity. That was the signal that millions of humans around the world had been waiting for. In underground cities on every continent, People put on armor made from alien materials and picked up weapons that combined human engineering with alien technology. The weapons were amazing. Human scientists had learned to make energy rifles that were more accurate than alien weapons. They had built explosives that could destroy alien shields. Most importantly, they had created communication devices that let millions of fighters coordinate their attacks perfectly. Sergeant Moon activated her second device, which sent a coded signal to every human base on Earth in exactly 30 minutes. When the alien guard shifts were changing and their defenses were weakest, every human resistance cell would attack at the same time in the Amazon rainforest. Indigenous fighters emerged from hidden tunnels carrying weapons that fired energy bolts. In the Sahara Desert, nomadic tribes rode vehicles that could move faster than alien patrol ships. In the mountains of Tibet, monks and soldiers worked together to destroy alien communication towers. The attacks were perfectly timed. When aliens at one base tried to call for help, they discovered that their communication systems had been destroyed by humans at other bases. When they tried to send ships to help their allies, they found that human fighters had already captured or destroyed their landing areas. Colonel B. Kaijin led a team that captured an entire alien fuel depot in the Rocky Mountains. Defending it were so surprised that they barely had time to fire their weapons before they were overwhelmed by humans who seemed to appear from nowhere. "Target secured," she reported. "The aliens never saw us coming. They really believed we were all dead." Major Kong Woojin had an even bigger success in Europe. His team managed to capture 3 alien commanders alive, along with all their battle plans and communication codes. For the first time since the invasion, humans had alien prisoners instead of the other way around. The aliens who had celebrated their victory 5 years ago were discovering that their celebration had been premature. They had been fighting against ghosts and shadows while the real human resistance grew stronger in places they never thought to look. Their trap had been perfectly prepared, and now it was closing around their enemies with deadly precision. The news of Earth's liberation traveled faster than the alien ships could fly. Admiral Joe Minseok stood on the bridge of humanity's first spaceship that could travel between stars. The ship was built using alien technology, but human engineers had made it better and faster than anything the aliens had ever created. "Sir, we are receiving messages from 3 different alien species," reported Intelligence Officer Kim Dae-yoon from her computer station. "They all want to surrender to us, and they are all blaming each other for losing Earth." Joe looked out through the ship's window at the stars. Just 6 months ago, he had been hiding in underground tunnels, eating canned food and wondering if humanity would survive. Now he was commanding a fleet of ships more advanced than anything Earth possessed before the invasion. The alien empire was falling apart. The 7 different species that had worked together to conquer hundreds of worlds were now fighting each other in open warfare. Each group claimed that the others had been secretly plotting against them all along. The psychological warfare that humans had used during the liberation had worked better than anyone had hoped. But humanity did not want revenge. Ambassador Park Hyren led peaceful missions to planets that had been under alien control for hundreds of years. Her job was to offer these worlds freedom without demanding anything in return. "We learned something important during our 5 years underground," she explained to the first meeting of the Galactic Assembly. "Real strength comes from working together, not from forcing others to obey you." The meeting was held on a space station that orbited a planet the aliens had conquered long ago. Representatives from dozens of different species sat around a huge circular table. Many of them had never seen humans before and were surprised that the species that had defeated the mighty alien empire looked so ordinary. Dr. Yu Soonjae had become Earth's expert on dealing with other planets and species. Before the invasion, he had been a college professor who taught students about ancient history. Now he was helping to write the laws for a new kind of galactic government. "The aliens made the same mistake that many conquerors throughout history have made," he said during one of the assembly meetings. "They thought that winning one big battle meant they had won forever, stopped watching for new threats because they believed their victory was permanent. The new Galactic Federation was very different from the old alien empire. Instead of forcing weaker species to serve stronger ones, it was based on cooperation and mutual respect. Planets could choose to join or remain independent. No one was forced to give up their resources or their culture. On Earth, construction crews were building monuments to remember what had happened. But these monuments were not celebrating humanity's victory over the aliens. Instead, they were reminders of the lesson that had saved the human race. President Han Mi-kyung spoke at the ceremony to dedicate the largest monument, which was built on the site where Seoul used to stand. Thousands of people gathered to hear her speech, including many former aliens who had chosen to stay on Earth and work with humans. "We survived the invasion because we never forgot an important truth," she said to the crowd. Celebrating too. Early means you have not really won yet. Real victory is not about defeating your enemies. It is about building something better that everyone can share. The monument was a tall tower made of both human and alien materials working together. At night, it glowed with soft light that could be seen from space. Carved into its base were the names of all the humans who had died during the invasion, and also the names of aliens who had died in the fighting that followed. Many of the alien species were amazed by humanity's response to victory. Most conquerors in galactic history had used their success to become the new oppressors, but humans had chosen a different path. Commander Zekthal, one of the crystal aliens who had surrendered early in the war, now worked as an advisor to the human fleet. "Your species is unusual," he told Admiral Joe during a planning meeting. "Creatures that gain power use it to hurt those who hurt them first. But you use your power to prevent future hurt." The galaxy was changing in ways no one had expected. Young aliens from different species were coming to Earth to study human methods of cooperation and problem-solving. Human teachers were traveling to other worlds to share knowledge about building societies based on trust instead of fear. Dr. Kim Da-yoon, who had once hidden in subway tunnels studying broken alien machines, now ran a research station where humans and aliens worked together to develop new technologies. Their joint projects were creating inventions that neither species could have made alone. "The most important thing we learned," she often told visiting students, "is that strength comes not from never falling down, but from how you get back up when you do fall." The species that had been dismissed as primitive and weak had become the foundation for a new age of peace and cooperation in the galaxy. They had proven that sometimes the greatest victory comes not from conquering others, but from showing everyone a better way to live together among the stars.